Hey guys, what's going on? Matt here, and I'm going to do an MK1 review video. Um, this video is going to be pretty long. I want to talk about everything from the single player experience to the gameplay to online, basically anything that comes up that I want to talk about. I'll try not to ramble on for so long, but yeah, there's just kind of a lot I want to talk about. So, to first give you a background as to who I am and where I'm coming from. I'm an old man. I'm almost 40. I've been playing MK since before like it came out. The first game, the original Mortal Kombat in '92 or whatever, came out on home consoles. Um, but I've loved fighting games as a genre for the last 30 years. So I play Street Fighter, Guilty Gear, Tekken, like MVC, basically anything you could think of, right? I just love fighting games. And growing up, I was someone who liked the single player aspect, and then in the last 5 or 6 years, I've started playing online, taking that somewhat seriously. Not entering tournaments, but I liked ranked. I like labbing matchups and trying to get better and stuff like that. And especially with MK, because I'm just a huge fan of the franchise, I love diving into the single player content, the story, the arcade endings, trying to unlock some skins, all of that stuff, but I also like complementing it with online play. So that's kind of my perspective, and I'm going to try to use that perspective to come up with my kind of informed decision. As a general basic, this is what I think of it. I think the game is great. To be honest with you, I wasn't a huge fan of MK11. I found the gameplay to be pretty dull, and I wasn't a huge fan of the Towers of Time and the single-player aspects of it. It was just way too grindy for me, and because I didn't like the game, I didn't really have fun doing it, so it just felt like a chore. Whereas this is different. I love the gameplay of this game, so I love playing the game, even if it's just simple towers, simple arcade classic kind of towers, right? So that's kind of where I'm coming from. As a player, I typically like games with combos. That's not to say I don't like Sam Show and other games like Third Strike and doing Ken's low forward into super, which just does, it's a single hit confirm and does 30% damage or whatever. I definitely love that stuff too, right? I'm a player that loves neutral. And I also like combos. I usually complement that by playing a game like Street Fighter or Samurai Showdown with a game like Guilty Gear or Melty Blood or Skullgirls or whatever, right? MK to me is, especially MK1, is kind of an in-between. This game, I think, has a really good neutral, which is the two players back, kind of trying to start their offense. And it also has the combo expression, which I love. So, as a whole, do I like it more than, an individual Street Fighter game? Maybe not. Like, I think Street Fighter 6 is objectively probably a better game. But I have a ton of fun in this game because it gives you a little bit more combo freedom. And it's a nice balance, right? I don't have to mix Street Fighter with Skullgirls to get both sides of the world. In this game I can kind of get everything, right? Good neutral, good combos. I'm happy. So that's generally why I like this game. And I'll go into the gameplay and just show it off. Before I get into there, I want to talk about the roster. There's no new characters, which may be a bummer to some people. I personally like that. I'd rather have classics and people like Havoc that we haven't seen in 15, 20 years. Back as a playable character over a new character that I'm not too fond with, right? We do get Geras from MK11. There's a lot of 3D era characters, Ashura, Natara, Li Mei, Kenshi obviously, but he's not as, old. Reiko is back, Tanya, Rain, and then obviously the classics, right? So, yeah, I think that this roster is good. Now, how they've also supplemented that is they got rid of the variation system, which personally I'm a fan of. I thought it was very clunky. To determine what you wanted, you had to bounce back between training mode and the customization menu, you couldn't just make up your variation in training mode, which I thought was weird. And also, I felt like all of the characters in MK11 felt a little bit underpowered. They never felt like they had their complete move set, and just the combo variation was kind of not that expressive. In a couple of days, you could learn all of your characters' B and Bs for their best variation, and it was just kind of a dry system. So what they've added in this is there's no variation system, but they've added a cameo system. Now these cameos are purely just assists. You cannot tag in as them, you cannot play as them, but during a match you can call them out to do one of 3 different special moves, and that depends on the input of which you call them out at. So it's not like at the character select screen you have to select which assist you're going to use. You can call them out different with different moves, and I'll show that off. Now this is, in my opinion, kind of like a variation system in itself, right? Because each assist has 3 or 4 different special moves depending on the character. Now those special moves will help your character out in different ways, right? Some may help their combo abilities, some may help their defense, some may help their mix-up potential, some are just to make them safe on block, on some of their, strings. And like, for example, I do main Katana, and Sonya is my preferred cameo for her. I don't think she's necessarily Katana's best cameo, but I just like... Sonya gives Katana... She helps out her combos a bit in a way that I like, and the combos are fun for me. But, against some zoners or something like that, I may want to pick Sub-Zero, who kind of... is maybe better for defensive options, right? So it is very much a cameo or a variation type system in a way, but the good thing is that your main character actually feels strong and they feel like they have lots to do. So I'm a big fan of this system, and plus you can get characters, you can get a larger roster, right? You can add characters that maybe don't deserve I shouldn't say don't deserve, right? But like maybe a character, unfortunately, NRX doesn't like giving Cyrax and Sector full character roles. I just don't know if they don't know what to do with them or what it is, but at least here, they can bring some of their iconic moves back, some of them, and and go from there, right? So it's nice that you get representation that you may not be able to get otherwise. So I think the system is good. The stages in this game, I think, are actually really good. All of them have variations. A lot of them are night and day kind of a thing, but some of them break that. Some of them are kind of during storms, and some of them are maybe the levels are corrupted in some way or something like that. I just think it's a really neat system. Outworld at night has purple skies once again, which is a nice touch. I think the stages in this are very vibrant and colorful, and I don't think we've had that since MK9, basically. And my favorite stages have always been classic Mortal Kombat 1 and classic Mortal Kombat 2, because they were just very vibrant and colorful. They weren't so dark and kind of gritty. Obviously, their pit and like living forest and things were, but they were still very lively because of how vibrant they were color-wise. So I think the stages in this game are a return to form in that regard. I will also say that the OST music is really good in this game. I do think by default it's a little bit on the quiet side. I think like the attacks stand out in the mix a little bit more. But I'm okay with that because, again, I do play online and I take the fighting somewhat seriously. It helps, determine... Oh, I didn't... it helps me determine if a move was hit or block, right? It helps you hear the audio differences as well as the seeing. And I personally feel like my brain picks up on the audio quicker than the seeing. So I like that. But if you're playing for more a casual experience, you'd rather have the background music be louder, definitely obviously go into the audio settings and change that. But I'm okay with how it is. I just wanted to point it out, but how it is by default. Regarding the combat, I didn't purchase this game at launch. Oh, and I should also clarify, this was recorded after the update, after the first ECT tournament, where Cyrax got nerfed a bit, but they added a bunch of quality of life improvements to the game. I didn't get this game at launch because, quite frankly, the pre-launch material didn't look that good to me. The movement looked pretty slow and sluggish. The jumps looked really like characters were, Peter Pan in a high school play, just swinging on ropes and stuff. Like, it just looked very unnatural, like they floated in the air for too long. Essentially, I started watching combo videos after the game launched, and I'm like, oh, this game looks really cool. So I end up getting it like that because I realized that, some of the pre-launch, like they buffed the movement and it feels a lot better, or looks a lot better anyway. So, yeah, and I'm happy with where the game is at right now. Again, the gameplay is really fun. It is kind of your classic MK game. I play this on Hitbox. I normally play my fighting games on stick, but MK has things like back-forward inputs, which, in my personal opinion, and others may disagree, but coming from other fighting games, I find inputs like back-forward to not necessarily feel that natural. It feels a little bit mechanical. And it definitely is also aided by the fact that I'm playing on Hitbox, which I just feels mechanical anyway. But again, back-forward inputs, I find this game was meant to be played on a controller with a D-pad, right? Is ultimately the issue, or not the issue, but just how it is. So yeah, I don't play these games on stick because of inputs like back-forward, and especially that means like instant air fans and stuff like that is really hard on stick. So yeah, I play on Hitbox. That said, I think that this game works really well on Hitbox, and yeah, I think it's a good way to play, but controller and controller pad is probably still the preferred method. But yeah, the game plays really good. I'm not going to spend too long talking about the mechanics, but it's more traditional. They don't have recharging meters like they did in MK3. MK3 and MK11. They went back to the more traditional, like 3 bars that you charge up. To do a special move, you press the attack, but if you want to enhance it, you press block at the same time, which I'm a fan of. There's no more amplifying an attack to make it safe when you can after the fact, which I didn't personally like in MK11. They just kind of they got rid of a lot of the mechanics that a lot of people complained about MK11 for. I think the neutral is still very much, like MK11, but once you start pressuring and expanding your combos and stuff, then it gets into like more of a classic MK game, and I think that that's a very nice implementation. One way that they buffed the combos, other than the assist, I'll get into that, but they also added air strings, so you can do air combos, and yes, because they are strings, you can cancel them into special moves, and extend your combos from there. I'm not going to show, this isn't a combo showcase, that wasn't anything particularly great, but yeah, I mean, I find that this game is just really fun, and because the characters feel stronger on a base level, it feels like they have more to do combo-wise than they did in MK11. Then you add the variation system, and how this works is I'll press forward in R1 for Sonya. She'll come out and throw a projectile. In this example, I can hold R1 to make it a stronger projectile, or maybe, kind of create some opportunities to threaten an opponent or whatever. Maybe try and make some attacks safe or whatever, right? And that's just forward on R1. I want to point out that this is a summon assist. So I'm going to call her out, and then I'm going to hold jump. And you're going to see that Katana takes a bit of a pose, as if she's doing the special move, and she can only jump after a certain amount of time. Right? So you can't, call out the assist as you're doing stuff. This is a summon assist. Now, they do have ambush assists, and I'll get into that, but I just want to point out that there is a difference, okay? Sonya has another summon assist, which is her leg grab. And with these summon assists, again, treat them as like they are additional special moves to your character. And because they're additional special moves, you can combo into them Some of them they don't fully combo. It depends on the startup and stuff like that. But yeah, Sonya can give you a side switch combo, which I like. It's nice. And then there's that ambush attack, which is just R1. And Sonya will come out. I can be blocking. I can call her out. I can be in the complete middle of a string. I don't have to cancel into it or anything like that. I can basically call her out at any time. Which that creates some freedom, you know. Cyrax obviously had, you know, created issues with, you could create a lot of block pressure. It was kind of like a lockdown assist. Whereas, you know, Sonya, I can use that as a combo extender, right? You know, but different assists you're going to use for different ways, right? So Sector is Melina's assist. Forward in R1 does his flamethrower, which you can use in combos. His back in R1 is Teleport Punch, which you can use to punish some attacks, as well as well, if I didn't suck, it's also a launcher. And then his R attack, which is his ambush, and you can move around when doing that, is he just shoots an upward missile at you. Now if you press it again, it becomes a tracking missile, and if Katana were to try and run away from it, it would hit her. Now you can, I do not play this pairing at all, but you know, you can use it to set up, well, you know, if you're better than me, you can use it to set up different things, right? That's what I love about this game. So your character feels strong, the combos are pretty cool, and then they give you these assists, and now you have like a lot of tools to experiment with. And like when I was picking Katana, I spent like a week just trying different assists and seeing what I could do with them and how they work with Katana. And I'm nowhere near, like, you know, like there's still weeks worth of content for me just in labbing that stuff out and trying to figure out optimal combos and new setups and things like that. Like there's so much you can do with this variation, with this cameo system. It truly is a lot of fun, and it adds so much depth to the game. And I really like it. I'm a big fan. So yeah, from the gameplay aspect, I like this game a lot. One thing I don't think I mentioned regarding the stages, right now they don't have any stage fatalities. There's not a single stage fatality in the game. MK11 was like that too. They didn't add them until the Aftermath update, and I don't know if, you know, they'll eventually add them into this game. One thing I will say, and I didn't mean to get into this so early, but this game, they are trying to sell you a lot of premium items through microtransactions. I don't think it's available in the shop yet, but they did announce that there was going to be a seasonal Halloween fatality that you can purchase in the premium shop. I hope if stage fatalities do get added in the future, it is not a premium shop item, because there would be a lot of upset fans over that, and I would be upset, right? Like a pit fatality was in MK1 and you didn't have to pay extra for that, right? It was just part of the game. So we'll see how that gets handled, if they add stage fatalities or not. But yeah, I mean, I think that this game is really good. While I'm in here, I'm going to talk about some quality of life features I would like to see added to training mode. The first one being is that in basically every fighting game now, other than Mortal Kombat, while you're in training mode, you can queue up for a ranked match, or like a casual match, or just an online match, right? And usually, too, with those games, when a match is found, a menu will pop up. They'll show you if you're playing a Wi-Fi opponent or not. They'll show you what the ping is, and you can decline the match without penalty. They don't have that feature in this game, and that's kind of a shame. Like, you can't even really... They do, you can decline matches and stuff. I'll get into that when I get into the online stuff. But yeah, being able to queue up for a match here and see the connection before you accept it would be so fantastic. That right there would be a huge upgrade to this game. They did, you may have seen other reviews that were made earlier where you couldn't pin special moves or things. Now you can do that. They added that in the last update. So you know, they did bring that functionality back. Yeah, just wanted to show that off. I also wish, like, in order to set up a training dummy recording, you have to go in here through the menu and then do it. I kind of wish that you could just, like, press L3 and R3 or something like that. You didn't have to go through the menus and navigate. And also, while we're in there, if you reset, it always resets to whatever you have set in the menu here. In a lot of other fighting games now, like Street Fighter 6 is probably the best example. If you press forward and the PlayStation touchpad, you go to the left side. If you hold right and press it, you go to the right side. If you press right and down, you'll go to the right side, but switch sides so you can practice whether you're in the corner or out. It just, you can basically get to all of these different options, other than the reset distance if it's close or full screen or whatever, or default. Just from within here, you don't have to navigate through menus. So those would be nice quality of life features I'd like. But the main what I would really want is being able to do matchmaking from training mode. That would be fantastic. But overall, I do think the training mode is really good and pretty expansive. I just feel like there's a lot of navigating through the menus to do things, and if you could do more things with shortcuts while just like in training mode anyway, I think that that would be better. Get out of training mode. I guess the next thing I want to talk about is how progression works in this game and unlocking skins and things like that. My biggest issue with MK11 was I hated the Towers of Time. I didn't like the gameplay of MK11, right? And the Towers of Time with all of the modifiers just made that a lot more annoying to me. And the Towers of Time are also like the way you unlock like 80% of the content in the game. So you kind of had to do that if you wanted to unlock stuff. If you just wanted to hop online and play casual matches, you never really unlocked much. Yeah, you got coins and stuff, and then you could go into the crypt. But the crypt, as much as I loved all of its classical references and running around Shang Tsung's island, the fact that all of the chests were randomized was annoying to me. And they should have, after you cleared the crypt the first time, they should have taken the items that were in the Towers of Time that you hadn't received yet, as well as Kombat Leak, and put those into the crypt, right? So you could keep going to the crypt to unlock things. They didn't do that for whatever reason. Eventually, you could basically empty out the crypt. You could still refill it with chests, but all the chests would be augments and stuff I personally thought was a waste of time. It was just a shame that I don't think the crypt was kind of done to its full potential. I think if they started it off with everything being in set places, so if you only played Melina, for example, well, she wasn't on launch, but you get my point. You could just go, oh, okay, so I have to go to these chests and get my items for Melina, right? If that's all you cared about, you didn't have to spend so much time grinding the crypt to hopefully get something for your character, right? So on a fundamental level, I didn't like how the unlock system worked in MK11. I think they've improved that in MK1. So first of all, they have this mastery system. I'll show Katana because she is a character I've mastered, quote unquote, as far as this system goes. As you play for your character as well as your cameo, you earn experience. And as you build that experience, you rank up, and with different ranks, you get different unlocks. You get skins, brutalities, you know, their second fatality, taunts, like in between match taunts, gear, you know, all kinds of stuff. I mean, some items are bad, right? You just get a combat card, which I don't really care too much about, but that's me, and concept art and stuff like that. I think that this system's great. No matter what mode you're playing in, you earn experience towards your character and earn gear for the character that you're playing. The downside, I think, to it is that in these early stages, it goes really quick. Like, you can play a match or two and rank up. But as you go on, it takes more experience to reach the next rank. And, like, by the time you're up here at, like, level 35, which, as of time of this recording, is the max. I don't know if they're going to expand upon that later. It's like 20 matches, 30 matches, maybe even more, before you're going from this level to this level. And if they could speed that up, I think that that would be nice. But just the fact that you can, you know, play your characters and rank up with them, I think is a better system already. that's not the only way to earn stuff. You also earn gold coins as well as silver seasonal credits. Now, what the seasons are in this game is there's Combat League, which is a seasonal thing like it was in MK11. Then they have Invasions mode, which I'll get into in a bit, but it's kind of a single player experience that resets every season. There's kind of new content every season. And with that season, there are seasonal themed items that you can purchase. So again, from playing any match or doing any mode basically other than practice mode, and I think local one-on-one matches, you earn, as well as experience, you earn gold coins and you earn silver seasonal credits. You can come into the seasonal store with those silver seasonal credits that you earn from doing everything, and you can like buy just whatever gear for your character that you want. Now you'll notice that all of these skins are red or yellow or orange. That's because this season is themed around Scorpion. And I'll talk about that a little bit more, but because it's a Scorpion themed thing, everyone's skins look, their gear is different. Their gear will change depending, like the color of them will change depending on what the gear of the color of your main skin looks like, right? But the skins themselves are based around Scorpion's theme. Now, next month, let's say it's going to be Sub-Zero or whoever, then the skins are going to be of a different palette and theme, right? So, but it's just really cool that you earn, I think, that you earn these seasonal credits, and you can come in here and buy, whatever items you want for whatever character. You don't have to grind a specific mode to get these coins. You get them in any mode, right? And then, as well as that, you also, as I mentioned earlier, you also get gold coins. And those gold coins, you can come into the shrine, which is similar to how it was in MK11's crypt, but you go to it directly, and it's also 1,000 coins no matter what. There's no wagering different amounts to get different items. And you can come in here and you can roll the shrine, and you get, a randomized item that's available in the pool. As it says, I've completed the shrine. To my estimate, I came in the shrine about 145 times before I emptied it out. So a lot of items you can unlock. Now, it's not just gear or skins, but it's also sometimes concept art and things like that. Not everything's great, but yeah, there is definitely lots to get in here. So with that, with these 3 avenues to get items, and that's you can access all of these if all you want to do is just hop online and play casual matches or play towers of, the towers against the computer or whatever, right? So there's a lot of ways to unlock things, and with especially with the store, you can pick exactly what you want to unlock out of the items that are available, right? I think it's just a really nice touch. I think they handled that well. Now, as of time of launch, there's a lot less content to unlock in this game than there was in MK11, right? MK11, to its credit, had a ton of content in it at launch. But with every season that comes, there's going to be more content for you to unlock in this game. Now, one thing I want to point out is that while I was going through the shrine, I did notice I unlocked this skin through the shrine. So that tells me a couple things. One is that the shrine pool had these items. So I'm assuming, NRS hasn't confirmed, and we're still in the first season, so we don't know yet. But I believe that in the next season, you'll still be able to earn these previous items from the previous seasons in the shrine. So that's good. Like, if you don't pick up the game for a couple of years or whatever, hopefully you can still get some of these content through the shrine, right? And then hopefully the loot pool in the shrine will be larger and you won't max it out until you've gotten all of the items, right? But we'll have to see. The thing that's also interesting about this is it told me that, like, it made me realize that I wanted to come through the store and unlock all of these items in the seasonal store, even if I didn't particularly want them. Like this skin I didn't really want, but I didn't also want this to be an item that I would later get in the shrine. I wanted to clear out all of this stuff so I didn't have to worry about it coming up in the shrine. So just buy it now and get it out of the way, kind of a thing, right? So yeah, that's That's basically how the unlock system in this game works. I think it's really great, but there are unique items in other avenues, one of which is the premium store. So these you purchase with red dragon coins or red dragon crystals. You can see at the bottom I have 3,100 of them. You can earn these in game, but as of the time of this recording, there's no infinite way to unlock them. It's not like there's a weekly quest or a way to earn them through Kombat League or anything like that. You get some for beating the story, you get some for mastering up your character, but once you earn them through that way, there's no other way to earn them. Right? So it is a finite resource. You can, of course, purchase them with real money, of course, right? So that's kind of where the microtransaction stuff comes in. But if you don't want, if you feel like you don't care if you get everything, you only want the stuff that you really do want, you can use your coins that you earn in game to purchase it, and not have to buy, them with real money, right? But of course, if you want to get everything, then, you're looking at spending hundreds, if not thousands of dollars, right? And then there's also like gear pieces that you can unlock. Now, I do have a bit of an issue with with this premium store. It doesn't seem like it's in effect right now, so I don't know if they fixed it in the last update. But there were items that were like in this rotating section that you could unlock in the game. There was a Kenchi sword that was in here that I actually already possessed, even though I didn't purchase it in here. I don't know if I got it from the shrine. I don't know where I got it from. But it would have been nice if there is a separate avenue to get these, that it shows you in here, so you don't feel like you have to spend these, rare and hard to get dragon crystals on something that you could just get from the shrine or whatever, right? So, but again, right now it doesn't look like that's an issue. So hopefully they either corrected that, and then if there is other ways, they show that. But right now we don't know if that's the case or not. These items can be pretty expensive. Like this skin for Melina. Oh, I can't open it to show the different whatever. It was 800 dragon coins, which is basically the equivalent to 800 to $8, which for a skin there was 6 different colors to it. It's a bit pricey, right? I hope that if they're gonna make these skins expensive like this, $8 for a skin seems to be on the high end. And there was a scorpion one that's not in the store right now, but it was 1,000, so it was like $10 for the skin with 6 different colors and a unique piece of gear for it. If it's going to be $10, if you want to just buy it outright, that's a lot. I feel like this game definitely needs more ways to earn these red dragon crystals in game, other than just like mastering up your character, and once you've earned it, you can't earn it again. Like I think it should be weekly rewards, or maybe something in the Kombat League. Get some of the people who are complaining they don't have much to do in the game playing Kombat League and playing online for a reason. Yeah, that's just my take, but it is what it is. Aside from that, there's, I believe, unique items you can unlock in the story. There's unique items you can unlock in Kombat League. I'll show that in a bit. And then there's unique items for sure that you can unlock in Invasions, which again is kind of the single player mode. I'll get in there in a bit. I'll touch on the other single player mode stuff first. The story, I think, was really good. I haven't been a fan of any of NRS's stories, to be 100% honest with you. MK9 I really liked until the Revenant showed up, and I hated the Revenants kind of with a passion, so that's a me thing. But the story was godlike up until the Revenants came. The last act, third act, or the last third of the story or whatever, or 20% is when it kind of fell downhill for me. The first 80% was amazing, but yeah, that's my issue with MK9. MKX and MK11 I won't get really into. I just wasn't a huge fan of them. This story I actually liked. Now, if it's because my expectations were low, or I'm just sick of, I'm just so used to timeline shenanigans and different, I don't want to spoil it, but like different things like that people often use in stories these days. they definitely pulled some of that stuff. I wish the story was a little bit more kind of down to earth and a retelling of MK1, which is definitely is not. It's definitely a continuation from MK11, Aftermath especially. But yeah, the story overall was good, and I do think it was NRS's best story mode. But it is the typical fare, different chapters. You play as those characters for a few fights, move on to the next character, etc. The towers in this game, these are your classic towers. I find them to be really fun in this game, but that's because I find the gameplay really fun. I had problems with MK11's classic towers because I felt Chronica wasn't fun to fight against. You just were doing a lot of crouch blocking and waiting for your chance to jab her or uppercut her. You couldn't do any of your combos, or most of your combos against her. I didn't find it a fun fight. Whereas and I won't go into it because I don't want to spoil who the boss is, but the boss in this game is very much like an opponent that you can combo and do your normal attacks to, and it very much feels like a normal fight. Some people criticize that it doesn't feel like you're playing a boss and there's no sub-boss before them, which is, a valid point. But I have more fun playing against them because I can do my normal combos against them, right? And they play like a normal enemy for the most part, and I can do my normal things, and it's fun, right? Also, you can't cheese the AI as easily as you could in MK11. Even on very hard in MK11, you could just jump kick and beat the AI. That was kind of an exploit. If you stayed on the ground, it was definitely a much harder fight. But you could just jump kick them, and especially if you could cancel into like a safe-ish on block special move, which most characters could. It was hard. Like, they really didn't have an answer to that. Whereas in this, I haven't found an exploit yet. You just have to be decent at the game. I don't think very hard is very hard. I've beaten all of the towers. Well, not all of the towers, but most of the towers on very hard without dying. So I feel like they could be a little bit harder. Really, I feel like very hard is what I would expect hard to be. But aside from that, the towers are just really fun. As of the last Quality of Life update, it does save your score in-game. It does have online leaderboards, so that's fun. There are 5 towers in here. There's 3 classic ones with the boss and arcade endings. They vary from 6, 8 to 10 opponents, and the more opponents, the higher up you go in the ladder, the harder each AI gets. So the boss is, maybe a little bit harder than the AI before them, regardless of who the characters are. But I have a lot of fun doing that. There's an endless tower where it's 2 rounds. Your health regenerates after each match, and it can go on forever, right? There is no difficulty, but as you go up, the AIs get harder and harder. Basically, see how far you can make it, right? And then there's a survivor tower, which has 25 opponents, but you can select the difficulty, and each match is only 1 round. It does end in fatality or brutality, or a finish him. But yeah, your health carries over. So if you don't perform well one match, the next match is going to be a lot harder, right? And all of the matches after that, really. So you really have to be on your game. This one I haven't completed. There's 25 people as far as I know. I think the most I've done is on very hard is 7 or 8 wins before dying. But it's really fun. I'm just having fun in the towers because I have fun with the game and the gameplay, right? Doing all the combos, learning new characters. There's endless content there alone for me, as well as trying to beat my own high scores and things like that. I definitely think that that's a lot of fun. There's people that are complaining that they've kind of unlocked all of the content. I think that these are a lot of people who just don't like the gameplay. They don't want to learn and optimize their combos, learn new characters, learn new cameos, things like that. So yeah, it's going to be a little bit stagnant if you don't really want to play the game, right? But I think that there's lots to do. I could spend years in these towers just developing new strategies and combos for different characters and assists and stuff, right? So yeah, that's me. Invasions mode, again, this is a seasonal single-player type experience. Basically, there's these different islands. When you start, you enter Johnny Cage's mansion, and that's very much a tutorial level, and then you enter the seasonal level. And when you first enter, you enter this level. This map will likely change in future seasons, right? It's probably, we don't know, but it's probably specific to the season. When you enter, you get a cutscene. Again, this one is themed around Scorpion. It's a story based on Scorpion. It's not nothing crazy cinematically. It's like an arcade ending where it's kind of like a couple still images and narration over it. But my one complaint that I will say is I didn't like in the story of how they treated Scorpion, whereas the story for Scorpion in this was really nice. My one complaint is once you watch that cinematic, it doesn't seem like there's any way to rewatch it. It doesn't save in your gallery or anything like that to watch it again, as far as I've noticed. Which is a shame because I actually really like what they did with Scorpion's story, and I would like to see it again, right? Especially like not so much now; it's still fresh on my mind. But in a year from now, it'd be nice to kind of revisit. So it's a shame that those aren't saved in game for you to view again. Um, but yeah, basically what you do in this mode is um, it's kind of like a board game. It's not really a board game. There's just these like different nodes that you kind of run around to. Each node has a fight, a test your might, or a survive kind of game where you have to dodge um, like fireballs and stuff like that. And then some nodes, like the one I was just on, you'll notice when I go back to it at the bottom, it'll say there's a clue with a check mark. Basically, there's something specific you had to do during this fight, and if you did it, it opened up this pathway to this unique chest. This was a unique item that, as far as I know, you can only get in Invasions mode. You definitely cannot purchase it in a seasonal store. I don't know if it was available in the Shrine because I did this before, but I would think that it was a unique to Invasions mode item. But yeah, you basically just run around, you play these different fights. The fights themselves, I do not find particularly fun. They have modifiers. They're not the worst modifiers. They weren't as bad as they were in MK11, but it's still a bunch of modifiers. Some of the AI have this thing that's unique to Invasion mode called Super Armor. I personally don't think that these fights are that fun, but they're not awful. Still find them, like MK11's Towers of Time were insufferable to me. I hated the modifiers. I hated the whole system. The modifiers in this aren't as bad. So, and I play on hitbox. I don't play on controller. I don't have access to the right analog stick. I haven't found the need. There is in this game, in Invasions mode particularly, there's a talisman that you can equip with the right analog stick that helps you. I haven't found the need to ever use it outside of like the tutorial, basically. So I've been playing on hitbox, and it's been fine for me. I think with the Towers of Time, you kind of needed to use because of the modifiers were so obsessed, like so aggressive. You kind of needed to use the right analog stick and your modifiers and stuff. So I just use my AI fighter. In this, because it's easier, I haven't found the need to use the controller. There is no AI fighter option, which is good. Like, I think we should be playing the game, not having an AI just do it for us. But again, this mode I don't find is particularly fun, but it's not as annoying as the Towers of Time were. I just want to go back to the overview. You do get stats, and you can like I don't find any of that stuff particularly engaging. You just boost up your attack power, so your jump kicks and uppercuts are stronger. Is basically all you do. There's items you can get if you need help in some of the fights. But yeah, most of the fights I don't find are all that challenging. There's basically these islands. Now, I found each island had about 8 unique items in it, and each island took me about 2 hours to complete. Now, there is an area that's kind of locked off from the start, and once you beat the mode, you get the option to go back through the previous maps. That adds you another like half hour or so per map. So yeah, like 2.5, maybe 3 hours. There's really 6 maps, 6 islands that you need to focus or really do. The middle one is not one, and this right one is not one. but yeah, so like 18 hours or so of gameplay to like 100% it, get all of the unique items from there. I mean, it'll keep you busy. And again, as you're doing these, you're leveling up your character, you're earning gold coins, you're earning the silver seasonal credits. So you unlock things outside of that just by playing the game, right? So it's okay. Again, it's not the most fun mode. I'll say that. I would have preferred like a conquest mode, like in Deception or something like that. But obviously, that's a lot of development time and stuff like that. And this game was seemingly somewhat rushed, but I think it's in a better state now after the last update. What this gateway portal is, I said it's not really specific to this mode. It's got a bunch of like hourly towers. Now these are very much like towers you would have seen in the Towers of Time. There's a whole bunch of really annoying modifiers. Just to say, you don't unlock anything from completing those. Like there's no special rewards. I'm trying to find a very specific area. I think I'm here. You don't earn anything specific from doing any of these towers. There's no rewards like there were for the Towers of Time. Again, you just get your coins and experience and that stuff, right? Now, this one, the seasonal tower, or the challenge tower, depending on where you access it, does have unique items. I think there's 4 unique skins you get from beating this tower, as well as I've heard there may be a secret fight that also has things. I haven't done that yet, but yeah, this one does have unique items. What I would hope is, as a quality of life improvement, is to show you what the rewards are, so you know if you're that you wanted to go through this to earn the items, and then maybe like not bother with the hourly ones where you don't, right? Because you'll see that it doesn't have rewards. But yeah, the only tower in here you need to really concern yourself with is the seasonal one. The hourly ones and stuff, again, they have a bunch of modifiers. I would just play the classic towers myself, but that's me. How am I doing for time? And then this one is kind of like a practice area. So I think this Wuxi Academy area and this Gateway Portal are going to be here no matter what season you're in. It will be the 6 surrounding islands that will probably change based on the season. Overall, I don't think this mode is particularly fun, but I don't find it particularly annoying either. And you earn stuff as you do it, right? So it's okay. That's basically how I rate it. It's okay. But yeah, there are people that are more single player minded that basically did the story, which took like 5-6 hours. Invasions mode, which is like 18 hours, right? And then maybe a tower or 2 for like characters that they care about. And then they're like, okay, well now I have nothing else to do until the next season starts and there's more stuff in Invasions mode, which isn't all that fun to begin with. So I understand why some people complain about a lack of single player content, but because I find the gameplay is just so fun, and doing all of these combos and experimenting them and coming up with new ones and challenging myself to get a better score on very hard on the towers and things like that. I have lots of fun, even single player. Now, I do definitely play online, right? And we'll get into some of these online options. They have Kombat League, which there are rewards for. Now, the rewards for these work a little bit differently than they did in MK11. There's no cursor, so I can't go around and show you stuff. But you'll see Scorpion in the top right has a skin if you reached Warrior. In MK11, if you were just in tier 1, you would earn that skin for that tier. You didn't have to get to the top rank of that tier, right? Like, I'm champion right now in tier 2, the first level, right? I don't have that Shao Kahn skin, and I won't until I reach Grandmaster. Whereas in MK11, just for reaching tier 2, I would have gotten that as skin for my character, for whatever the character is, right? And then it's just through the individual ranks that you get, additional coins and gear and, background cards and things like that, player cards and stuff. So that's kind of, in my opinion, worse. I wish that, again, it would be nice if I could just reach champion or demigod, in tier 3 and get the Elder God skin. Like, not many players are going to reach Elder God, which is unfortunate. And there's also no challenges. Like if you remember that MK11, if you did 5 sets a day, you would get a bunch of time crystals, which would be the premium currency, like the red dragon crystals in this game. There's no, again, you can't get those in this game from like any kind of re-earnable source like that. They also don't have the things where it's like do 10 fatal blows and get a brutality, right? So there's less content to earn in Combat League. I don't know if they're going to add stuff in the future. Again, if you remember, Combat League didn't come at launch in MK11. They added that later. So maybe they're going to expand on it later. One issue I have with Combat League is that when you start Combat League, like when you choose to enter a match, it's just going to match you up with someone. And they can be Wi-Fi and they could have a high ping. And unless their ping is over 150 milliseconds, you can't decline the match without forfeiting the match, which I think is crazy. 150 milliseconds is really high. Like, I've played some matches that were lower than 150 and they were unplayable. A lot of that's because they were Wi-Fi as well, so the ping is variable and is bouncing all over the place, right? I do hope that they add an option where if you're wired, you can decline a Wi-Fi opponent just because they're on Wi-Fi. And yeah, and I think 150 milliseconds is also too high. I think like 120 should be like the max that is. Other than that, the mode is fun. It is a first to 3, and if you forfeit or quit at any time, you forfeit. Some of these sets can take like 18 minutes, which can be a little bit of a slug, especially if the connection is bad. I wouldn't mind the bad connections as much if it was a first to 2, but a first to 3 with a bad connection is awful, especially if you lose because of the connection and then you've lost points or didn't gain points or whatever, right? So yeah, I think that could be fixed. Ultimately, I would just prefer it if they were a little bit more selective. If you were wired, again, not accept a match with a Wi-Fi player without penalty, or if the ping was lower. But yeah, and again, if they could add that option to queue up for matches and see the connection before accepting it in Combat League and not forfeit points if the connection is bad, that would be great, right? It would just having to come into this menu and queue for a match is annoying as well when you could be training. Another thing that I just want to say is I hope that NRS at some point adds a permanent ranked mode. They don't have to have items associated with it like this. I would just like it where, it takes more time. Like, if they could emulate basically Street Fighter 6's ranked mode, where you could have different ranks for different characters, and it didn't reset on a, 6-week or bi-monthly basis or whatever. Like, I would like to try and take my time and eventually reach Elder God one day, or something like that, right? Like, it's very rewarding for me to play a permanent ranked mode and try to get as high as I can just to see how good I am as a player. But in this mode, because it resets, you could play someone that's Elder God quality, but they don't come in until the last week, and then they just fly through this, and they fly through you and demolish you, right? Like, it's kind of more of like a grind just to see how far you can get to earn the items, rather than to see how good of a player you are and get better and strive you to be a better player. So I would love if they had, again, they don't need rewards or anything like that. If they had a permanent ranked mode, I would really appreciate that. There is a Warrior Shrine that is coming soon. People have theorized that that's kind of like the shrine I showed you with the gold coins, and it's maybe not available yet because in this you can use this to get the previous rewards, like maybe the Elder God Baraka skin. You can get that from the Warrior Shrine after the season has ended. We don't know. NRS hasn't shared any information about this. I suppose we'll find out in 10 days if it is even available at that time. Other than that, it's kind of your standard fare. They have a local versus mode. for private, so you can invite a friend. Right now, there's no crossplay, which is kind of embarrassing. Every other fighting game has crossplay at this point. And honestly, I'm going to say the netcode in this game doesn't feel particularly great. It's not awful. It's still rollback. It's still better than, 5-year-old games. But in the land of Street Fighter 6, this netcode does not compare. I'll just be straight up honest. But yeah, there's private matches, so you can play a friend if they're on the same console. But you can only invite one friend, from what I understand. You can invite players to do a King of the Hill, but it's very much like winner stays on, and everyone spectates that match until it's their turn. There's no way to have like a room where you could have multiple friends just playing against each other. I think that needs to be added. But yeah, other than that, I mean, the online mode is good. Obviously there's quality of life improvements that I said that I would love to see, but as of this moment, we don't have them. But other than that, I'm still having lots of fun online. That basically sums up everything. The only other, I guess, things to talk about is, so when you earn gear, it's based on your character, or it's based on your profile. So if you, on PlayStation anyway, if you have a friend like locally and you want to play 2 players against someone, they have to sign in as a guest, and they are essentially playing on an account that doesn't have any skins or gear or even fatalities unlocked or anything. So, and they can't use your skins that you've unlocked, which, I think is kind of crappy. I brought my PlayStation over to a buddy's house last week, and I had all of these skins unlocked from doing invasions mode and stuff, and he could only play as the base stuff. There is a tournament mode, which is meant for offline, and there is a setting to make it use randomized gear, so I guess that's their workaround, but it's just kind of a shame that you go through all this hard work to unlock stuff, and then a friend comes over and they can't use it. I think that's just kind of a shame. I also think the way the customized system isn't necessarily the best. If you want to change your skin, you pretty much have to come in here and equip it. Like, you can't change your skin from the character select screen. You can put a star on it and favorite an item, and then it will randomize what that item is. But if you want, you can't match up specific gear with specific skins, or your cameo skins with the skin you're wearing to color coordinate them with that, because it's just going to randomize what your pool is. So if you could make loadouts, I know the MK1 doesn't have a variation system, but if you could save 5 loadouts per character and cameo and at least select those from the character select screen, I think that would be much better. But yeah, I mean, it's just a minor nitpick. Again, the quality of life thing I would like added. Overall, I think this game is fantastic. The gameplay is fantastic. And I'm just having a lot of fun with it, and I'm excited to see where it goes. I'm just hoping that we keep having a fun mode, a fun game with strong characters. I hope they don't over nerf too many characters. But yeah, we'll see how the game goes. But as it currently stands, I like it a lot. And if you're an MK fan, I would definitely, or just a fighting game fan, especially if you like doing combos and stuff like that, or you just like good lore and story and stuff, I would definitely recommend this game. But anyways, thanks for watching. If you have any comments, let me know below. Thank you. Bye.